Hollywood studios of Columbia Pictures. A Screen Gems production.
Tuesday, 11:15 p.m. It's one of Lieutenant Howard Finucane's routine evenings at his office. A detective with Finucane's responsibilities is never caught up. A light near the switchboard at police headquarters begins to flash. A silent burglar alarm has been tripped at the Caldwell Storage Company on G Street. Someone has broken in. In a matter of minutes, Finucane is at the Caldwell warehouse. He finds a jimmied window that set off the alarm in the station. But the intruder leaves no other sign of his presence. No other sign but one. Inside half an hour, Finucane's young partner, Paul Kirk, was at the San Diego County Hospital, and I was right along with him. I'm Ben Andrews of the Chronicle.
Where's the lieutenant?
Right here, Paul. Thanks for coming down.
Howard, how are you?
Well, my arm's a little stiff, but feels all right. Not quite ready to dance a jig yet, but not too bad.
Oh, fine thing. I came busting down here expecting to find you at death's door.
Oh, well, I might have been at death's door if it wasn't for you, Ben.
Me?
Ah. Remember that notebook you gave me for Christmas?
Yeah?
The gold badge on it deflected the bullet.
I wish I'd known that. I'd had this badge made king size.
Any news of my sniper?
Not a trace. We've got the area blocked off, and we're doing a door-to-door search. But there were 50 paths he could have escaped by.
Well, they better search for that rifle slug. Better try the roofs.
Don't worry, Lieutenant. We're going to find this guy.
What was it, Howard? You surprised a burglar and he took a shot at you? Is that about it?
Well, I don't know, Ben. Could have been. It could have been something else, too.
Something else? What do you mean?
Could have been a trap. Just for me.
The deflected slug that had wounded Finucane was found on the roof of the Caldwell warehouse, a .30-30. No record on the markings. I had to report in my news story that Lieutenant Finucane's assailant remained unidentified. Howard, what are you doing here today?
Well, why shouldn't I be here, Ben?
You've been shot, man. When you're shot, you lie down.
Oh, it's just a scratch. I've got a lot of work to do. There's that robbery out in North Park. There's that missing bank messenger from that store on Water Street.
You think all these things can't wait?
Well, you know my theories about breaks, Ben. Good or bad, you accept them and go on from there. I'm going to try to find out who it is wants to see me out of the way.
I don't see it, Howard. This isn't the first time a burglary suspect's taken a shot at a policeman. It won't be the last. Now, that fact's worrisome enough without figuring some punk had you marked for a surprise party.
Well, let's look at it carefully. Somebody trips a burglar alarm, then waits across the street with a rifle. Cop hater? Maybe. But this fellow doesn't shoot at just any officer. He waits for me.
After all, think of what the guy would have had to know. For one thing, he would have had to know you were on duty last night.
Well, that's not too hard to find out for a man arranging a surprise party. Finucane? All right, send Baker in.
Lenny Baker, information for sale.
That's the one. Maybe he's heard something.
You trust him?
About as far as I can throw his record. But I've done him some favors, so he does some for me.
Hello, Lieutenant.
Baker?
Sorry to hear about your accident.
Accidents will happen. What's on your mind?
Well, I just thought I'd drop by, find out how it's going. Lots of guys want to know how the lieutenant's doing after his accident.
Touching. Tell him it spoiled his two-handed game of solitaire.
Funny man.
Yeah, I'm a riot. What's new with you, Baker?
Well, you know, I managed to pick up a couple.
Couple of what?
Are you still working in that pawn shop over in McClure Place?
No, I blew that pad some time ago. I'm kind of on a vacation now. If I was you, I'd take a quick vacation, too. You know, you look a little tired. Maybe a couple months in Mexico. Fix you up fine.
Get to the point, Baker.
Well, look, Lieutenant, I'm just trying to tell you what's on the grapevine. And the word is that somebody's carrying a grudge, and it's a real hot one.
Who?
Well, no names. But I'll give you this. You better grab that vacation now, or they'll be making book that you'll never take it.
Finucane continued with his investigation. He paid particular attention to the case of Mr. Neil Cheney, a Stores Bank messenger, who was missing with $10,000 in receipts. Our next stop was Artisan's Emporium, the store where Neil Cheney was employed.
Mrs. Benson is the treasurer of the Artisan's Emporium. You must have had many dealings with Mr. Cheney.
Well, of course.
Well, tell me, is he a man who likes to gamble?
Gamble? Oh, no. But I do know that sometimes he went across the border to Caliandich, but I'm sure it was not for large amounts. Mr. Cheney is a very reliable man.
But he never showed up at the bank yesterday. Tell me, when he left the store to go there, which direction did he take?
Well, he went that way. He always parks his car on that lot.
Then he crossed the street just about here.
Forward, look out! You hurt?
I'm all right.
License plate was bent. The last three numbers were 787.
Thanks, Ben. That's two I owe you.
You know, Howard, maybe Baker had a point. Maybe a vacation for you now would be a good thing.
You too, Ben?
Well, why not? You've got one coming. Don't you have a little niece and nephew living up in Seattle?
Thanks, Ben. That reminds me I must send them birthday presents.
Better yet, why don't you pay them a visit?
Look, Ben, I'm a policeman. I don't stop being one because somebody with a gun doesn't like me or for any other reason. But what would be the motive of someone out to get me?
Motive?
Yeah.
Well, I can rattle off the names of 20 criminals who would have a motive to get you.
That's the grudge theory.
And it's a pretty good one. What other one is there? I myself have sat right here in this office and heard them swear they'd get you. I can't even remember half of them.
Well, I think you'll find all their names on this list.
It's a pretty long list.
Yeah. Well, a man will say almost anything when he realizes he's been thoroughly nailed.
Yeah, just a bunch of playful kids. Murderers, robbers, kidnappers. And they all owe their prison sentences to Howard Finucane.
Well, mind you, Ben, I don't say it isn't one of those men.
But what about this fella, Ed Weiler? If you ask me, his name should be on top of the list.
I haven't forgotten Ed Weiler.
And you can bet he hasn't forgotten you. He swore he'd pay you back for pinning that kidnap rap on him.
I know, but he's been in prison for some time now.
Yeah, but what about these others? They're all not tucked away so neatly.
Well, Ben, we're looking into that angle. But there are certain elements about this grudge theory that haven't sold me yet. For instance, if there has been talk of someone with revenge on his mind, why haven't I heard it before?
We've heard it now, via 130 caliber slug.
I finished the rundown on that grudge list, Lieutenant. 3/4 of them are still inside. The rest narrows down to about 6 or 7 possibilities.
And all right here in the city.
Well, at least it could be. 4 whose current address is San Diego. 1 was reported to have moved back here from Los Angeles. 1 was released from prison last month, and 1 One was seen passing through town.
Which is the man just released from prison?
The one named Ed Weiler.
A search for Weiler was begun. Finucane recalled Weiler had had a girlfriend, a Miss Lila Johnson. She was located working in a bar on Front Street.
Miss Johnson, I don't know if you remember me.
I remember you all right.
Well, have you seen Ed Weiler since he was released from jail?
What if I have? That any business of yours?
It might be, lady. It just might be.
Where can we find him?
Still want to hound him, don't you? Can't leave off him, can you? Wasn't enough you sent him to jail.
If you'll just tell us.
I don't have to tell you a thing. You want to know something, find it out yourself.
Look, girlie, I'm only a reporter here, but let me give you a tip. Somebody's been trying to kill Lieutenant Finucane. And if it's your boyfriend...
Somebody's trying to kill him? Oh. Oh, that's wonderful. That's the best news I've heard all year. And whoever it is here's wishing him luck. It'll be one for Ed.
Miss Johnson, we're going to find Ed Weiler sooner or later. And your cooperation with...
Got the lieutenant sweating, huh?
I don't think so, sweetheart.
Hey, Mr. Reporter, the day you write the lieutenant's obituary, come on around. I'll buy you a drink.
That's one drink I think I'm going to miss. Anyway, you can buy me a drink on death row.
All I said was I hope the lieutenant gets his. You can't arrest me for hoping, can you, Lieutenant?
We might, if you don't tell us where to find Ed Weiler.
Try the cemetery in Phoenix, Arizona. He stole a car there a week ago and cracked it up. He's dead.
Lila Johnson's story checked out. Her ex-boyfriend, Ed Weiler, was a week-old traffic statistic in Arizona. Finucane was right back where he started, without a clue to the identity of the person planning his murder. Pickups were sent out on the other possible grudge bearers, but all were found to have a provable alibi for the evening of the shooting. There was nothing to hold them on, nothing to link any of them with the case. Getting close to deadline, Howard. Anything new?
Well, not much. I've been working on that missing bank messenger case. Been going through the past history of Mr. Neil Cheney. There's some interesting angles. Finucane.
You want to lead on that hardware store job? Then look around 427 Franklin.
Who's calling? What is your name, please? Somebody with a tip on the missing hardware store receipts.
I got a little time yet. Am I invited?
Okay, let's take a ride. .427 Franklin Avenue proved to be an old office building in the process of being torn down.
If you don't mind, Lieutenant, I think I'll look around first.
Looks like Paul's decided to be my reconnaissance man.
Well, to tell the truth, Howard, we sort of worked it out behind your back. He goes ahead of you, and I bring up the rear.
Thank you, Ben. Nice to know what position I'm playing.
In here, Lieutenant.
What is it?
Some empty money bags, some loose checks, and a couple of bank passbooks.
Artisans Emporium. Now, Ben, there's a check dated the day before yesterday. These are part of the receipts that Cheney was taking to the bank.
Checks, bank books, no money.
No. No Mr. Cheney either.
He must have been held up. Looks like someone took the money and then threw the rest of the stuff in here.
Either that or planted it in here. We better have this whole place searched thoroughly.
Here, Howard, more checks.
Yeah.
You, gonna dust them for prints?
Well, try, Ben. The checks have usually been smudged by the prints of...
You all right, Howard?
Yeah, you?
I guess so. I think I'll stick to just writing the news from now on.
We must be heading across the roof. Paul, you go up on top. I'll go around the other side, try to head him off.
A thorough search of all buildings and rooftops in the area was made. But the man with the plan to get Finucane had gotten away again. Perhaps to give it another try. One thing was sure. If we'd ever had any doubts about his determination, they were now gone.
Well, my homicidal friend seems to have made his first mistake. He's shown himself to be connected with that missing 10,000 in the Artisans Emporium.
Well, it sure doesn't sound like someone just out for revenge.
No, it doesn't. Of course, we can't skip that possibility either.
Well, it isn't grudge work, Howard. What is it?
Maybe Mr. Cheney can give us an answer, if we ever find him.
How's chances for that?
We've gotten all stations out for him. Not much more we can do now. What about Caliente? Any word from there?
Not yet, Lieutenant. They're still checking.
Well, by the way, Cheney turns out to be quite a horse player. Caliente, Del Mar, Santa Anita. He's known at all the tracks.
Big gambling debts?
Well, not that we can find out so far. I'll check with some of my racetrack friends, see if they know anything.
I see the direction of your thinking. Mr. Cheney gets himself in deep at the tracks, so he figures as a bank messenger, he's good for a phony robbery.
Well, it could also be that some wrong guy he met at one of the tracks learned about his job.
I still don't know how to write this story. What's the tie-in between this case and the guy taking swipes at you?
Wish I knew.
Howard back yet?
Not yet. You know something, Ben? I should have stayed with him.
He didn't want you to.
Well, he didn't have to know about it.
You think you could tail a lieutenant without his knowing about it? You're a dreamer, boy.
Well, I did it last night. I went down and hung around outside his house to watch things.
I know. He told me you were there. So let's just figure the lieutenant knows what he's doing, huh?
Well, I hope so. This guy who's out to get him isn't fooling around.
Come on. It's not get jumpy. It's just a package addressed to Lieutenant Finucane. Doesn't look like a bomb to me. Does it?
What does a bomb look like when it's wrapped in a package?
You got a point there.
What does it say on it?
Just addressed to Lieutenant Finucane.
Any return address?
None that I can see.
Ben, the water cooler.
Wait a minute, Howard.
Something was buzzing inside the package.
A birthday present for your little niece?
That was my plan.
Tell her she'll get another, and a great big extra doll from her Uncle Ben.
We've got business. The missing bank messenger's just been found.
Where?
Underneath the B Street Pier. Cheney was shot in the head. Let's check ballistics.
Ballistics experts were set to work immediately on the death bullet. a .30 caliber bent out of shape, but with its lands and grooves as plain and identifiable as a fingerprint. While waiting for the report, Finucane went over the possessions found on Cheney's body. He believed that somewhere, connected with the finding of Cheney, might be the solution to two mysteries: the robbery murder of the bank messenger and the attempted murder of himself.
You see, Ben, there is a theory that fits these events. Cheney was picked up outside the Artisan's Emporium, possibly by somebody he knew. Maybe somebody with a plan for robbery. Cheney must have resisted, it ended in murder.
Okay, but where do you fit in?
Well, the killer must have known that Cheney's body would be found sooner or later. And he knew that with the finding of the body, there might be a clue that would lead directly to him. A clue that only possibly I knew about. Finucane?
Lieutenant? Lenny Baker. Listen, I got some more information on that guy who was after you. Yeah? It's a holdup, and it's dynamite. Listen, I can't talk here. Can you meet me alone someplace?
All right, where? The parking lot on Imperial Avenue in Canto? Make it half an hour. Things are beginning to break. Baker's heard something. You tell Paul to wait here for the ballistics report. I'll be back in an hour.
Ben, have you seen the lieutenant around?
He should be back in a half an hour.
Well, I got the ballistics report. Looks like another dead end. The bullet traces to a gun reported lost or stolen about 6 months ago.
Where from?
In a pawn shop over on McClure Place. They reported several items missing, including this .32. The serial number is 604695. The lieutenant had a ballistics reading on it in the files.
McClure Place. The name rang like a shot in my ears. Finucane had mentioned it yesterday, asking informer Lenny Baker if he still worked in a shop there. I told Kirk about it, and a quick call to the McClure loan shop established that Lenny Baker had worked for them about the time of the gun's disappearance. Here was the connection that Finucane had suspected, the one between him and the killer. It led straight to Lenny Baker, the very man Finucane was meeting right then.
Cover. You all right, Ben?
As long as I don't try to walk. Feels like somebody took the pins out of my knees. Howard,
You said something yesterday about owing me to, remember?
That's right, I did.
Well, let's just call it all even, boy.
Is produced with the cooperation of the San Diego Police Department in conformance with the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics.
This has been a Screen Gems film production from the Hollywood studios of Columbia Pictures.